Hello. What's up, fam? Brandon Walker. More Cowbell, the Mississippi State podcast here on SEC Country. Have we got a show for you today? Have we got a good show for you? Very excited about today's show. You know, the Egg Bowl's this week. I don't know if you guys know that. The Egg Bowl is the annual rivalry between Mississippi State and Ole Miss. It's a rivalry that Mississippi State won 55-20 last year, and we'll probably win this year. So we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it. I'll do the talking. We might have somebody else on the show do some talking. We'll talk about State and Ole Miss, how one's heading in one direction, one's heading in the other. We'll have today's top five, the top five Egg Bowl plays of my lifetime. You know, I started to do another top five, like the top five lies Ole Miss has told during this investigation, but I just kept cussing too much. So I had to pull back. So top five Egg Bowl plays of my lifetime. Today we're going to do a shot of Jack. We're going to do some nice Jack today because it's Egg Bowl week, and we're going to keep it real. And we got Jack Crystal and some Egg Bowl calls. So I know you guys always look forward to that. So do I. We'll, you know what? We're going to dive right into it. We're not going to really waste much time, but give me just a second. I'll talk to him for just a second, then we'll get to it. How many we got? Bonnie Williamson-Gable's here. Chad Mask is here, and Shannon. Thank you, Chad. Justin Burford here. Says top five Ole Miss persona you want to punch in the face. Hey, calm down. Okay. Maybe that's, boy, somebody snuck in there. I didn't even hear the door open. Ole Miss is a dumpster fire, says Michael Clyburn. Well, that's not nice at all. I didn't say it wasn't true. I just said it wasn't nice. Did you send Freeze an email, Derek Channing Beach? Why not keep it 100? Well, that's what I do. Hail State from Soso, Mississippi, down in Jones County. Hail State from Pensacola. Tim White is checking in from Point City on the milk route somewhere, maybe in Columbus. Top five ex-Ole Miss traditions. That's pretty good. Jasper County, Hail State, down there in, Jasper County. I just said it. What's the score going to be this year? Hopefully a lot to a little. I don't know. I keep coming back to something like 38-20, something like that. Close, but not close. Preston Smith says, what's up? I doubt that's the real Preston Smith. That's another, not that you're not real, but not the, anyway, you know what I'm saying. Hello from Cleveland. Hello, Yazoo City. Hello, Greenville. Kenny Manning, how was your time in West Point? How was your time in Point City? Madison, Mississippi. Cameron Crockett checking in. Hello. So I haven't told you, we're also going to have Steve Robertson on the show today. Nobody hates Ole Miss, or nobody is hated by Ole Miss more than him. So we'll get right to that. We will get right to Steve Robertson. We'll, as soon as we start this show, I got a lot to pack in 30 minutes. I don't know how I'm going to be able to do it. So we might as well just go ahead and get this party started.
The More Cowbell Show, brought to you by SEC Country. And now, your host of the More Cowbell Show, Brandon Walker.
That's me, Brandon Walker. More Cowbell, the Mississippi State podcast presented by SEC Country. We are coming to you from the SEC Country studios here in beautiful Dunwoody, Georgia. That's suburban Atlanta, Georgia. Good traffic today. I like this week. Not a lot of traffic this week because I guess not everybody's in school or working. So good traffic week. Enjoying my week coming to Atlanta. Enjoying my week coming to you. We're going to get right to it. I'm not going to dilly-dally today. I'm not going to waste your time. We're going to talk about our top five Egg Bowl plays of my lifetime. We're going to have a shot of Jack at the end of the show. We'll reference what happened yesterday when Mississippi State and Ole Miss sent out a joint message and it went haywire. And first, we're going to just dive right into it because you know what? Well, I got to do some business first. I got to do a little business. Hey, more Cowbell listeners. You know Hooters is your place for game day, but did you know that Hooters now offers online ordering? In fact, they've teamed up with SEC Country to give you $5 off any order of $25 or more. It's simple to do. Just visit Hooters.com/to-go, To place your order for the upcoming game, make sure you use the promo code SECFans to receive $5 off any order of $25 or more. Orders must be placed online. Now, it is Egg Bowl week. Mississippi State hates Ole Miss. Ole Miss hates Mississippi State. But there is no man walking this earth that I think Ole Miss fans hate more than my first guest, my only guest, Steve Robertson, who has written Flim Flam the book, who has covered this investigation like no one else, who has told the truth when nobody else would, and who does a great job covering recruiting there at scout.com, genespage.com, all of that. You know who he is. I don't have to tell you to follow Scout Steve at Scout Steve R. But Steve, welcome to the show.
Well, Brandon, so nice of you to have me on this most festive of occasion.
Yeah, it's weird how it came about. I was just coming to work today, and you said, hey, you should have me on your show. So I said, okay, well, that works for me. Every time I have you on my show, I get a big bump. So, hey, it always works. So, Egg Bowl this week. I know that you are working this rivalry all year round. I know that you get a lot of grief from Ole Miss fans. But let's just talk about the game itself, Steve. What's your feelings coming into this Thursday night? Where's the Mississippi State team at, and what do they need to do to win this game?
Well, I'm really confident in what I'm hearing from the team and about the team. I was a little concerned about the quick turnaround, especially playing the road game. You know, the school up north, they were able to lose at home, so they were able to get right to bed that night. But I was a little concerned about the State, having to go on the road and win another SEC game and then having to fly immediately back and then get ready to go on a short turnaround. The good news is it doesn't appear that State has any fresh injuries. Of course, there's some guys. Of course, Donald Gray, Des Harris not going to be a part of the senior day ball game against the school up north, but you got a chance to get some guys back. Brandon Bryan will be available. Keith Mixon will be available, and there is an outside chance that Gabe Miles could be available, and I understand that he's doing all he can to get back on the field for senior day. But the main thing that I'm hearing that I'm happy about is that the guys are out there flying around. There's a lot of energy, a lot of excitement, a lot of effort taking place in practice, and that bodes well. Nobody's coming to this ball game beat up. They understand what's at stake, but it is really encouraging to hear that the team is really excited about this ball game Thursday night.
All right, I'm not going to play footsie with this. There's no secret. You've written the book. You Ole Miss fans don't like you at all because they blame you for telling the truth because nobody else will do that. How personal is a game like this for you? You'll be standing on the sidelines, and how badly do you want to see Ole Miss fans just get blown out Thursday night?
Well, Brandon, I'll say this. I want to see State win the ball game for a lot of reasons, but one of the main reasons that I want is I believe that this will be the next step in a string of victories for Mississippi State in the series, because I believe this is probably the last realistic chance Ole Miss has to beat Mississippi State for a few years. I think this is the one you look at and you think if you can just get through this one, you probably could put together a pretty solid string in the series and begin to possibly even this series record up. I know that's so near and dear to the Rebel heart. There's that 18-game winning streak they had, back before integration and all that. But now that we're playing real football, I think it's a real opportunity for State to go out, win the ball game, and almost kind of a coup de grace, if you know what I'm saying. I mean, the sanctions are coming. That's just a matter of time. They're going to be crippling. They're going to be very, very devastating for the program. But you know how emotionally invested Ole Miss is in its ball game, and to be able to beat them in what is their ball game, and perhaps the last ball game they're going to have, for the foreseeable future, to be able to win the game that matters most to them makes it matter more to us.
I'm glad you touched on that because I haven't really gotten into this. I was going to get into it this week. You got a lot of fans that'll go on Ole Miss message boards and they'll say this is not a rivalry. The rivalry's beneath them, and it's complete hogwash. It's complete lies. I mean, all you have to do is go to Steve Robertson's mentions on Twitter and see how they talk to him and see what they say. And then other players are like Leo Lewis. Go to his mentions on Twitter and you tell me it's not a rivalry. You tell me that there's not hatred there coming from the other side. I always think it's just the height of hypocrisy when people say there's not hatred coming from the Ole Miss side because it's a complete lie.
Oh, there's no question. I mean, it's like a troll to say, well, LSU's our real rivalry. I mean, there's some self-delusion and all of that. I mean, what's interesting about that is I lived in Baton Rouge for 16 years, had a lot of LSU friends, broke bread with them on a regular basis, and at no point did I ever hear anybody say, man, I can't wait to beat Ole Miss. It was almost like an annual rite of passage. They just expected to beat Ole Miss. There really wasn't any rivalry. They really wanted to beat Alabama. They really wanted to beat Florida. And they had a shifting rivalry. You know, when Auburn was really good and they were competing against them for the SEC West title, that was their rival. So LSU's rival is whoever is at the top, which is never Ole Miss. And so as a result, there's really not a rivalry there to discuss.
That's one of my favorite lines I've ever heard. Whoever LSU's rivalry is whoever's at the top, and that's never Ole Miss. That's a fantastic line. All right, let's get right in.
Maybe we should print T-shirts.
Maybe we should. You know what? If I'd have found my Rose Bowl was right shirt today, I was going to wear it, but I couldn't find it. You shoehorn your way into the show way too late. You didn't give me time to get the Rose Bowl was right shirt. But if I can find it, if I find it when I get home, I'll wear it tomorrow. I promise you that. So let's get right into it. You've been following this story forever. I guess when the COI hearing was held in early September, a couple of national media guys said it'll be after the Egg Bowl. That sanctions will be coming down. You've had during the last 6 or 7 weeks, or particularly the last 2 or 3 weeks, some Ole Miss reporters saying, no, it's coming this Friday, and it never does. It looks like it is indeed coming after the Egg Bowl, like people said at the beginning. What's your guess on when these things come down?
Well, from a writing standpoint, if it came out on this Friday, being Black Friday, that kind of pairs well with the fact that the hearing was on 9/11 and then the sanctions come out, Black Friday. But it's interesting, when all this first happened, I thought, the earliest they would get it would be, around November 11th. I mean, 60 days is kind of a rapid return there. But this is a very, very lengthy case with 21 allegations. And I don't think when they put this penalty matrix together, they ever thought they would have a case with this many transgressions, shall we say, to kind of work through. And because of the fact that it is such a big case and it is the first major football infractions case with the new penalty matrix, you had a good feeling they were going to take their time. And then, as we started seeing Pat Forty and others saying, oh, yeah, it'll be after the Egg Bowl, it'll be after the regular season, you begin to kind of think, well, that might make some sense, because you don't want a real toxic environment, at the Egg Bowl. That's going to be anyway. And somebody recently kind of proposed a theory that I thought might have some real credence to it over on the message boards. Said that what if the NCAA is waiting to see if Ole Miss is bowl eligible this year? Because they made a comment in the final NCAA report for women's basketball and track that there is an alarming trend. I am paraphrasing. There's a trend among member institutions that they take a postseason ban when it is convenient or advantageous for the school. And so if you're taking a bowl ban in a year that you're not bowl eligible, is there really a penalty there? And so I don't know that that's true, Brandon, but I think that's rather interesting that it could be a situation which would be an absolute gut punch for Ole Miss if they said, you know what, yes, there is going to be a 2-year bowl ban, but since you guys were not bowl eligible this year, the bowl ban will begin in 2018, 2019.
Well, spoiler alert, they're not going to be bowl eligible this year because they got 5 wins. And number 6 ain't coming Thursday night. I can just tell you that right now. One other talking point I wanted to ask about on the Ole Miss side. You've got their media over there. They're fans like we are. They just don't admit it. You got their media over there saying it's not fair that Ole Miss that they haven't gotten their sanctions yet. It should have had it by now. But isn't it true that Ole Miss at every point in this investigation delayed and drew everything out and took every delay possible? And the reason that maybe we're to this late point is because, if they had just faced the music in the beginning, it'd already be over. Is that not a reasonable assumption to make?
I think that's a fact. I don't think it's an assumption. I think it's pretty clear that they wanted to delay and deny and deflect. I mean, that's kind of become the rebel way. And it's interesting to me when you begin to take a step back and look at all this, it has been forever. Now, there can be some complaints made about these investigations dragging on and on and on, but the disclaimer and all that, and probably the modifier, is the fact that in their own answer to the amended notice of allegation, Ole Miss's legal team said that they discovered that many of these allegations and many of these violations occurred while the school was under investigation. So if you continue to cheat while you're under investigation, don't come crying later and say, oh, well, this thing went on far too long. Stop cheating, and they can go ahead and sanction you. But when you continue to cheat while investigators are in and out of your campus, in and out of your football complex, and interviewing your coaches, and you continue to cut corners, you're not owed any favors. And let's be honest, too, Brandon. This is a punishment. It's not something it's not supposed to be fun. It's not supposed to be at the Ole Miss convenience. It's about the NCAA and how they want to sanction December institutions.
Deontay Anderson is a sophomore safety from Manville, Texas, and it was revealed by Dan Wolken Sunday night that he had retained Tom Mars, probably Mississippi State's MVP. I've trying to get it named Mars State University, but I haven't been able to get anybody to listen yet. Tom Mars, our good friend up in Arkansas, he is now representing Deontay Anderson. Now, Deontay Anderson's a safety who said he was misled and he was lied to get to sign with Ole Miss, and now he wants out. He doesn't want to be penalized for going to Ole Miss. He wants to be able to transfer freely. What are your thoughts on all that?
Well, frankly, I think now that Ole Miss has admitted that there was some statements that were less than truthful in relation to Houston Nutt and that signing class of 2016, I think everybody that signed in 2016 ought to be given the opportunity to transfer without penalty. I think that's only fair. When you essentially sign a class under false pretenses, and I'm not talking about playing time. I'm not talking about, hey, we'll let you wear number 5, or you can rock the deuce, or you can lead the dog pound rock. That's different. But when you're going to sit there and say, you know what, we want you to come here and listen, this class not going to be impacted by this probation. All this happened before this coaching staff got here. We've already self-sanctioned a lot of this stuff, and everything is good. It's going to be a rosy outlook. When you paint that picture, and you know better, you have signed them under false pretenses. And I think that has to be part of the punishment. I think this signing class that was signed basically by hook or by crook, mostly crook, that they should be able to transfer, every single one of them, transfer without penalty.
Any idea that others are thinking about it like Deontay Anderson?
Well, I've heard some rumors, and I think, I've got a few friends that share information with me, and I've been told that Deontay Anderson is not alone, and that there certainly could be some other guys out there. And I think that Anderson's situation is a little bit different because of the fact that he is redshirting, so he's not playing. If there's a guy that's on the active roster, I can't imagine he would come out and say that before the Egg Bowl. But I think once everybody gets home for the holidays, and speaking of being home, Brandon, about the Anderson thing before we move on, if you go back and look at that interview that Jerry Hamilton of ESPN did, and I referenced it in Twin Flam, he said, I knew he would be honest with me, and he said all that stuff happened before he got to Ole Miss. And then once he got on campus, he kind of clarified, he tried to say, well, he didn't really lie. And some people have kind of brought that back up and said, well, he's changed his mind. What's interesting, when he wasn't on campus, he had one thing, and now all of a sudden his story, now that he's not a member of the active roster, matches what he said initially. So when he was under Hugh Freeze's supervision, things were a little bit different. And so I'm more inclined to believe what people, say, what matches, when there's consistencies in what they say. And so I think once you remove the Hugh Freeze from the situation, the guy can speak freely. So I believe that what he's saying is true and correct.
All right, let's transition. One last question before I let you go. 24/7 over in Tennessee is saying Dan Mullen could be going to Tennessee. They say it's almost a done deal. I think it's ridiculous. I think people don't know what they're talking about. I think these reports are awful. It's something we deal with every single year at Mississippi State. Dan Mullen's going to be the coach in 2018. I believe that. I think he believes that. What do you make of all that?
Well, I believe that too, Brandon. And, when all this talk of all these new openings opened up, you get a little concerned because there's some great jobs out there. I never expected Florida. I don't think that Tennessee is a good fit for him. And one of the things that I'll tell you, had some discussions last night with some people that I trust, and said one of the things that Dan Mullen has now, that he's kind of built at Mississippi State, it's not about facilities, it's not about an AD, it's not about a president. While those things are all important, and he loves all those things, Dan Mullen knows the lay of the land here, and he has built trust. He has people around him that he can trust. So when he asks somebody to do something, he knows it's going to get done. And so he doesn't have to, wander around the complex wondering, well, is this person out to get me? Is this person on my team? He knows who's on his team because he's picked the team. And so as a result, I think there's a comfort level here. And if you look at the rebuild that's going to be required at a place like Tennessee and UCLA, I just don't think that's attractive to them. I think there's some people in the national media that are unbelievably lazy. And so that's just like everybody said, well, Dan Mullen's the obvious pick in Florida. Well, those of us that kind of know from behind-the-scenes stuff realize that that's not an obvious pick, and it doesn't make a lot of sense for him to go there because of what we know. But because Dan's been successful, people throw his name out there because they just absolutely cannot believe that somebody would be happy in Starkville and happy to kind of forge their own legacy in college football. And I really believe those things are important to Dan Mullen.
First of all, stop stealing my lines because that last bit was pretty much a Brandon Walker special, and I don't want you stealing my lines because you have your own show on Bulldog Sports Radio. I understand it's reasonably successful. Congratulations on that. Before I let you go,
it is the greatest Mississippi State podcast in the world.
Nope. Okay, before I let you go, I will give you this opportunity. I know that the Egg Bowl is this week. I know that you're probably still on the road with book signings. You got Flim Flam, the book. I think you're over 7,000 copies sold now. So go ahead and tell people where they can find you, or if they can find you in the coming days.
Well, a couple things I'll say about that. The first thing is, and I'd be remiss that my publisher would be upset if I didn't say this. We're having a Black Friday sale this week. You can get a personalized copy of Flim Flam. So go into flimflamthebook.com. It's for $19.99. So we're discounting it for Egg Bowl week. So it's going to be through Friday. You can go do that now. Go to flimflamthebook.com, order your book, and you can make your request of how you'd like me to sign them within reason. Okay, like these people that say, "Hey, Steve, thanks for last night." That's not going to work. Okay, so.
Well, that's how you sign mine.
Yeah, that wasn't for you. Number two, so you can find me if you want to come hang out, get a picture, come to Campus Book Mart. I'll be there at 1:30 before the Egg Bowl, 1:30 till around 4 o'clock. And we'll spend the day. I'm going to eat Thanksgiving dinner with Stan and Man and that group there. And then Friday, I'll be in Tuscaloosa at Headley Booksellers for Black Friday. And then Saturday from 4 to 6, I'll be at Barnes & Noble in Ridgeland, Mississippi. But it's going to be very, very busy between now and Christmas. And I look forward to getting out there and meeting so many great fans. The book signings have been great. So many great people have come up and said hello. And I appreciate every single one of them. They make this fun for me. It was a lot of work, but a lot of this time it's really kind of fun and enjoyable.
All right, that is Steve Robertson. You know him. He's a good friend of the show, a good friend of mine, a good friend of yours. Steve, thank you for being here.
Thanks so much for having me, Brandon.
All right, that's Steve Robertson. He is now gone, so I can tell you what I truly think of him. Yeah, he's okay. He's okay. Big fan of Steve. At Flim Flam, the book, it's pretty successful. I'm going to look at you, Landshark, because we're going to skip the second segment because I don't have time for that today. I want to squeeze what we got at the end in, so we're going to skip that and save it for tomorrow. So let's go right to today's top 5. Today's top 5 is going to be the top 5 plays in the Egg Bowl of my lifetime. Top 5 Egg Bowl plays of my lifetime. Now, I give you that qualification because I am 38. I guess the first Egg Bowls I really remember when I was 7 or 8, 86, 87, something like that. But it really begins in like 91 when it went to campus. I was 12 years old. So really from 91 on, the modern era of the Egg Bowl, I have a very good recollection of the top 5 plays of my lifetime in the Egg Bowl. Number 5, we're going to go to 1998. Tim Nelson with a pick 6 in the fourth quarter. Mississippi State wins the game 28-6. The pick 6 really didn't matter, but it was just kind of like stepping on their face with a hobnail boot, as Larry Munson would say over there at Georgia. And we won the West in Oxford. We remain the only team to ever win the West in Oxford. Mississippi State wins the SEC West at Ole Miss 28-6, and Tim Nelson with the exclamation point with a pick 6 there at the end of the game. I think it was deflected, and he ran down the sidelines for a touchdown. Number 4, my guy, your guy, Chad Bumpus, 2009. 4th and 9, Chris Ralph throws it to God knows where. Chad Bumpus just happens to catch it in the middle of about 6 Ole Miss defenders. He turns, and I guess he's waiting for somebody to tackle him, and nobody seems interested in doing so. He goes left, he goes right, he goes left, he goes right, he goes left again, right again, left again, turns to the right, scores a touchdown, runs through the entire Ole Miss defense, and scores what I believe was a 37-yard touchdown. Chad Bumpus, C. Bumpus catch, C. Bumpus run. That happened in the 2009 Egg Bowl. One of my favorites. I tweeted it out just a moment ago because, Chad's one of the best. Chad's one of my guys, and that was an incredible play in 2009. Number 3. This is a combination of plays. And keep that in mind for later for number one. But this is a combination of plays. 2013, Dak Prescott scores the winning touchdown in overtime, and then Nico Whitley forces a fumble to Bo Wallace in overtime, and Nico Whitley kneels over. Well, you know what he did to him. I don't have to tell you. There's a term for what he did, and I'm not going to use that term on the show, but Nico Whitley taunted Bo Wallace at the end. Dak Prescott got it started by scoring in overtime, running over right tackle, 4th and 2 to score the touchdown, 17-10. It looked like Bo Wallace was going to score the tying touchdown, and then Nico Whitley knocked the ball out. Jamerson Love recovered it and ran out of the back of the end zone. Mississippi State wins that game. Goes on to become bowl eligible. Dak Prescott dominates in the bowl, and all of a sudden we're off like a rocket on the way to number one, and we didn't know it at the time. Number 2, Derek Pegues, punt return, 2007. I told you this story yesterday, but I did not see it live. I was at the game, but I was in the elevator while he was running that punt back. But I have watched it many, many times in the 10 years since. 10-year anniversary of that. Wow. I've watched it many times. Derek Pegues catches just an awful punt at the 25-yard line and runs in an absolute straight line. I've never seen a punt return run in a straight line. He never had to make a move. He just caught it and ran straight to the end zone, and nobody bothered to tackle him. But it was an incredible play. Mississippi State down 14-0 in the fourth quarter. It was 14-7 at that point. He tied it with that, and ultimately State wins 17-14. And number 1, like my list yesterday, how could it be anything else? How could it be anything else but 1999? And there's a combination of 3 plays here that all mixed together to be the greatest Egg Bowl play of my lifetime. It's C.J. Sermon's 38 yards. C.J. Sermon's wide open. He catches the ball, runs, dives in the end zone, ties the game. Ole Miss then stupidly tries to pass it down the field. Eugene Clinton intercepts it, runs it back to the 27. Calm everybody down. Scott Westerfield then kicks a 44-yard field goal to win it. It's C.J. Sermon's, and then the kick, and then the interception, and then the kick to win the game. And that dovetails really nicely into quit clapping. I don't need your applause over there, Terp. Terp hadn't said anything. Say hello, Terp.
What's up, guys?
I told Terp not to talk today, and he's
talk whenever I want to.
No, you're not going to do that. So, a shot of Jack. We just did our top 5 Egg Bowl plays of all time, and well, frankly, now you're going to hear the number 1 often because it is Egg Bowl week. Jack Crystal, the greatest to ever do this. Jack Crystal is the greatest college football play-by-play announcer of all time. He is a legend. Others may think they have it. Georgia may think they have the greatest of all time. Kentucky, I think, thinks that. Tennessee. But Jack Crystal was the best that ever did this. And he was fantastic. Did it for 58 years, 56 years, something like that. We all know him. We all love him. He passed away 3 years ago, but his memory lives on. And with Egg Bowl week here, we're going to reminisce on some Jack Crystal memories. I'll say that the Derek Pegues punt return, I got a 404 on that, so we weren't able to get that one. But we'll go real briefly back to 2007, and then we'll spend the rest of our time on 1999. Let's go back to 2007. Let's roll the first clip.
Carlson's coming on. The line of scrimmage is the 31, so he would kick from the 38-yard line.
That sounds so good.
It'll be a 48-yarder if he is successful. And he does have a wind at his back. 18 seconds in regulation time is all that's left. The snapback is put down. The kick is away.
Good.
He's long.
Good.
He is good. He is good with 12 seconds.
Well, John Carrero, you could hear him yelling down to the end zone. It's good.
Woo! Okay. All right. First of all, everybody calm down. Okay? John Carrero, yes, you kind of spoiled it. Thank you. I'll give you a All right. John Carrero, you kind of spoiled it there. But that's okay. That's okay because you were excited. I was standing about 3 feet from John Carrero when that ball, and you could tell it kind of turned and it was coming in. You could tell it was coming in right when John Carrero said it. But, boy, Jack Crystal, when he says it's good, he says it with emphasis. He says it, man alive. That is fantastic. All right. Now, that's the appetizer. Let's get to the main course. Make sure you play these in order, the order that I gave you, okay? Don't hashtag Terp's fault. I don't want to have to do that today. Let's get to 1999. You know it. I know it. Let's play clip number 1.
Bulldogs with 3 wide receivers. They've got a 4 wide receiver package now. Again, Matkin ready to work. Drops back to throw. Sets up. Is being hurried. Fires it upfield. Pass is caught. And driving toward the goal line and scoring. It's C.J. Simone. He was wide open, Jack, about the 15-yard line.
Oh, that is so great. C.J. Simones was standing wide open. Wayne Mackin scrambling a little bit. Didn't really get in a lot of trouble, but when he threw it, I was like, where is he throwing it? Oh, he's throwing it to the guy who's standing all by himself. And C.J. Simones dives for the end zone. My goodness. I wasn't listening to Jack live. I was watching Tirico and watching Herb Street and watching Corso. And that clip is still on the internet. If you want to see it at YouTube, that's still there. But man, I just hearing Jack realize what's happening just as I remember realizing what was happening. But that led into this.
And the crowd is alive in Scott Field as Romero Miller's ready to work. Rolls back to throw. Is going to fire long down the right side. Passes. Fought for it. Intercepted. Mississippi State down the sideline. Is going to get out of bounds at the 26-yard line. Eugene Clinton was the man that picked it off. And there are 8 seconds left in the ball game.
All right, we got the ball. It's tied at 20. Jack Crystal's going crazy. The fans are going crazy. Let's get Scott Westerfield out there. Kick this field goal.
Rob Morgan will hold at the 33. Scott Westerfield will try to win this football game for Mississippi State. We'll wait the snapback. Crowd gets quiet. It's put down. The kick is away. It's long enough. It's high enough. Rapid in maroon and white. Rapid in maroon and white. Bulldogs go out in front 23-20. 4 seconds left in this ball game. Mississippi State's going to get a celebration penalty. They sure are, Jack. People are running all over the football field.
I tell you what, I could fight a bulldozer right now. I could go to that construction site and I could punch a bulldozer in the face and that bulldozer would be done. It would be totaled. I could bend this bell in half right now if I wanted to. Wouldn't do it. Hey, just hit the helmet. Okay. Jack Crystal calling Scott Westerfield. Jack Crystal calling what might have been the most iconic play in Egg Bowl history. Does it get any better than that? No, it doesn't. It gets no better than that. There's nothing better than what we just played. That 3-play sequence of C.J. Simones and then the interception and then the kick. We all lived through it. Most of you, a lot of you were probably there. A lot of you watched it on TV like I did. But we all can listen to Jack Crystal and we all can be transported right back to that moment. And I know the man has been gone for 3 years, but he remains a legend. He's the greatest of all time. And this is my favorite thing we do on the show every week, by far. And that just, man, I got goosebumps. I'm fired up. We'll be back tomorrow. Be our last show before the Egg Bowl. No, we're going to do a Thursday show, aren't we? We're gonna record 2 shows tomorrow. Remember? Yeah. We're gonna do our normal Wednesday show, and then we'll record a second show after that. All right. So we'll be back tomorrow, 10:45 a.m. Central Time on Facebook Live. The podcast will be out at noon Central, as it always is. For the podcast listeners, my name is Brandon Walker. You've been listening to More Cowbell, the Mississippi State podcast, presented by SEC Country. That's, how could you not be fired up right now? On Facebook Live, how could you not be fired up? If you're not fired up, just press the X in the top right or the top left, depending on where you're at. If you're not fired up right now, you got to leave. You got to go. Go eat you some lunch. Go down to Kroger, get you some chicken wings. I don't care, but you gotta get out of here. Lee Jennings says that takes me back to the good old days. Well, the good thing is we're in the good old days kind of right now. We don't have Jack Crystal to enjoy it with, but we do have a good football team, and we have a very good chance to win the Egg Bowl. Where's Baby Bell? Where is Baby Bell? I didn't bring Baby Bell today. Oh, that's my fault. My bad. Danny Bethay is fired up. Todd Edwards says a win in the Egg Bowl means a better bowl game. It seals better recruiting in Mississippi and abroad. Actually, abroad is how Ole Miss did their recruiting. Anyway, no, that's not. You shouldn't say that out loud. No, but yeah, need to win the game. Definitely. I'm so fired up, I just cleaned the house. Brian Siska's completely fired up. Kenny Manning says I dozed off. Justin Burford said, who gets their chicken wings at Kroger? That's a good point. Torrey Barnes is fired up at a red light on Fulton Industrial. Fired up, go Dogs, Jerry Gardner. Sean Barker says, how do you feel about Malzahn to Arkansas? Does that mean Mullen will be a candidate at Auburn? Please don't give me another school to have to talk mess about. Please don't give me another school. No, Mullen's not going to be a candidate at Auburn. Mullen, you know where Mullen's a candidate to coach next year? Mississippi State. That's where he's a candidate to coach next year. And I feel pretty good he's going to get the job. Dixon hurdles the Ole Miss player and walks into the end zone. Sonny Vincent. Well, Sonny, you're half remembering that, right? Dixon did hurdle the Ole Miss player, but he did not walk into the end zone. I think he fell down at the 3-yard line, and we didn't score. We ended up taking a knee right after that. We could have won that game 48-27 instead of 41-27, but he did not score. How many rushing yards will we allow the Sharks to have? I don't know. 120, maybe? Scott Westerfield was one of MSU's best kickers, and he was a genius to boot. Well, I don't know, Scott, but if you say he's a genius, I have no reason to doubt you. So from now on, I'll be calling him Scott Westerfield the genius whenever I talk about him. Above average salary, no pressure. Why would he leave? Michael Wright. Why don't you let Landshark speak on the show? We only have one mic in there, and Terp takes it. He doesn't let her have it.
I got it. It's mine.
Yeah. Landshark, you going to speak one day on the show? Probably not. Why would I let an Ole Miss person? That would be funny if I talked to Landshark, who's an Ole Miss person every day, and just never let her talk. That's the thing. That's what we're going to go with. We need to give Mullen $6 million. We'll see. We'll see what he gets. I'm sure he'll get more from us. He's going to get a raise. There's no doubt about that. Seems like the Egg Bowl is always a toss-up. It just seems that way, Matthew. I don't think that's really true. Brian James says, let's beat him by 50 and stick the dagger right in the heart. I do know that Mississippi State's going to be fired up to win this football game. I do know State's going to be fired up. Does the Shrek turn red or maroon when he's fired up? Hail State.
Good question.
It's not a good question. Do not encourage that. I don't look like Shrek. All right? I don't know why we do this every single day. I actually missed the Bo Wallace fumble. I saw him running in and turned around and yelled. Then all I heard was cheers and cowbells. What happened? Stephen Turner says that. That's a pretty good story. That's a pretty good story. He did look like he was going to score. He looked like he was going to score, and then here comes Nico Whitley. I've always wondered what Nico Whitley said when he kneeled over Bo Wallace at the end. I tried to get Bumpus to find out, but Nico never answered him. That's all I want to know is what Nico Whitley said when he... You know what he did. You know what he did at the end. Hello, Houston Everett. I was at the game in 98, sitting right where J.J. Johnson pounded in 2 touchdowns with a bad hamstring. Hail State. Stan Mulvihill. Hashtag Terp's fault. Justin Walthall says Matt Luke is the real Shrek. You didn't like that one, Landshark? Didn't like that one at all? 1999 was the second coldest game I've attended at State. 2000 Arkansas game was the coldest. Carson Young. Wayman Hodge says 20th anniversary of the Brawl of 1997. Well, I hope don't bring that up. Don't bring that game up. Let's say 10th anniversary of 1997 or 2007. How about that? Justin Burford with a good point. What Nico said probably can't be repeated on the air. Yeah, you're probably right. You're probably right. Robert May says this is the only bowl game the Rebel Bear Sharks will experience this season, so they should be motivated as much as our dogs. Well, they've been in 12 bowl games, right? This will be their 12th bowl game. I don't know what they called all their others, but remember they made a big deal out of playing in 12 bowl games this year. If you shaved your head, you would look more like Brett Bielema, not Shrek. What's that guy's name? Steve Playcom. All right. Can we take steps to block Steve? I'd like to be able to block Steve. Can we do that?
Nope.
We can't do that.
Nope.
I feel like we can do that.
We probably can, but you can do it. I'm not going to do it.
Matt Luke looks like the dude on Full Metal Jacket, says Lance Chain. I've not seen Full Metal Jacket. I know what it is. I'm aware of it. I've just never seen it. Dilly dilly, says Lee Jennings. Adrian Brown can't wait to see State get the W. Justin Burford, come on. Are the Bear Sharks champions of life with all their bowl games this year? Asked Kyle Fogarty. Will Boudreaux Sturgis just says, hashtag Terp's fault.
What did I do today?
Doesn't matter.
Nothing.
Hashtag Terp's fault.
Nothing is ever my fault.
Hashtag. See, I messed up hashtag. That's your fault.
It's your fault.
Hashtag Terp's fault. Top 5 moments of the season so far. That's not a bad one. Well, number 1 has to be beating the mess out of LSU, right? Number 1 has to be that. Any chance Montez Sweat comes back? Carson Young. Boy, with every passing game, I'm beginning to think he'd be a fool not to go pro, but I've heard he's coming back. We'll have to see. Will it be the Citrus Bowl when we win Thursday? Jay Page. I think that makes a lot of sense. I think Citrus Bowl probably makes the most sense. Alabama, Auburn, and Georgia will probably be caught up by the New Year's Six Bowls. One will go to playoff. The other 2 will go to New Year's Six Bowls, and we'll be next. We will be next. No Full Metal Jacket. B, you're as bad as Terp. Well, I mean, Full Metal.
True.
No, that's not true.
That's very true.
No, nobody's as bad as you, first of all. You haven't seen Christmas Vacation.
And you haven't seen Christmas Story.
Christmas Story came out in like 1921.
Okay.
And it's just different. Christmas Vacation should be seen every day in the Christmas holidays. Let's focus on this game and not look ahead. You know, Michael Clyburn, I'm not playing in the game. I can focus on Tuesday, December 12th for all I care. I mean, it doesn't matter what I focus on. But yeah, we can focus on this. We can focus on this game. We can focus on beating Ole Miss. I have no problem with that. Anybody, what am I saying? Anybody do like I do? Do you go on YouTube all day while you're at work? Not that I do that at work. I work really hard. Hey, everybody, I work really hard. But anybody do like I do? Do you go on YouTube and watch Egg Bowl clips during this week? Do you watch Chad Bumpus running the ball? Do you watch all that? Because that's pretty much my afternoon. I'm going to be watching the 99 clips. I'm going to be watching Chad Bumpus. I'm going to be watching last year. Of course, to watch the offensive highlights of last year's game, you got to put aside like 45 minutes. Will Boudreaux Sturgis says, at least we aren't Ole Miss. That's a good point. There are 2 types of people, smart people and those that find Christmas Vacation funny, says Carson Young.
Nice.
Oh, that's not nice. Can we take steps to block Carson Young? I would like to take the necessary steps to block Carson Young. Justin Burford says, I post absurd comments on the More Cowbell show while I'm at work. Yeah. Terp would be the kid who stuck his tongue to the frozen pole.
That's funny, but
not
true.
You. Yeah.
Not true.
You are the worst. Hail State from Chunky, Mississippi. Top 5 things to do in West Point. Win a state championship in football is number 1. Eat at Anthony's is number 2. Go to the Brandon Walker Smoking Lounge is number 3. And that's it. Pretty much that's it. It's top 3 list for that one. Go Dogs from Hickory Flat, Alan Massengill says. How much time we got left? We started 2 minutes early. Can we go 2 minutes late?
Sure.
Don't give me that attitude, Landshark. Not this week. Not this week. Tell Terp I was at this game in 1979. Terps beat Dogs in Emory Ballard's first year at Mississippi State. Only game played between the 2 schools. Why would you do that? Why would you do that? Don't give Terp anything.
Terps.
Don't give Terp anything.
Terps.
Jerry Gardner says, I'll get nothing done today now. More YouTube. Yeah. Well, it's Thanksgiving week. I don't think they expect you to get anything done. I like the YouTube clip Superman of Ralph. I watch it 3 or 4 times a year. Ken and Renee Williams. I watched it yesterday. Where it's 2 games spliced together. It's his highlights from the 2009 Egg Bowl and 2010 Egg Bowl. It's about 4 minutes long. It has 3 Doors Down Kryptonite playing. It's fantastic. Going to Anthony's tonight with my wife. I'm thinking chicken and grits. Well, you could get that if you're going to be. Don't get chicken and grits. Get something good. Get something hearty. Get a ribeye. Be a man. Hello from Arkansas. Actually, the chicken and grits sounds delicious. And I haven't even talked about basketball again. Abdul Ado was terrific last night. Abdul Ado was terrific last night. That team looks pretty good. And they're going to hit threes. Don't worry about that. They're going to hit threes. They got good three-point shooters. They didn't hit them yesterday, but they're going to hit them. Brandon, your sarcasm is on point today. My sarcasm is on point every day. Every single day, Lance Chain. I heard Tuberville led the Are You Ready chant at Ole Miss. Heard there were many boos. That is hilarious. Man, can you imagine being tone deaf and putting that? You know, I hope we're up like 30-0 at halftime. I don't think we will be, but I hope we're up 30-0 at halftime and we play that Tommy Tuberville clip. That'd be fantastic. Who is 3 doors down?
Is that a band?
Yes, it's a band. Are you serious?
Yeah, I think it's a band. You said who is it?
No, that's somebody asked that question. Somebody asked that question. They're a band and they happen to be from Mississippi. I mean, they're not a great band, but they're a band. Terry Bowden to Ole Miss. Mac Brown to Ole Miss. Brian James says if the Little Pig was still open, it would be number 1 on the West Point top 5 list. That's probably correct. What about the lack of outside shooting from the men's basketball team? There is no lack of outside shooting. They struggled last night. They struggled early this season. They'll be fine. Trust me, they got great shooters. Terry Bowden to Ole Miss. I've already read that one. Okay, it's about time, right? It's about time. Let's see who can... Mike Leach is the only named coach who would take the Ole Miss job. I'm not going to read the rest of that because Mike Leach would not take the Ole Miss. There's no way Mike Leach would take the Ole Miss. Are you kidding? Mike Leach would not take that job. Nobody's going to take that job. Matt Luke is going to be their coach. I don't know why people don't realize this. Matt Luke is...
Hey, go Terps. Undefeated.
If you don't get that off my screen right now, get that off my screen. Okay, there you go. That's better. That's better. I like that better. All right. Had a good time today. As always, be back at 10:45 tomorrow for our Facebook Live, 10:45 Central Time. We'll figure out how we're going to handle Thanksgiving and the Friday afterward. Hopefully, we'll have good news to report on Friday. We'll have stuff to talk about. We'll be back again tomorrow, 10:45. You've been listening to More Cowbell, the Mississippi State podcast presented by SEC Country.